This shit ain't for kids, bruh. What up everyone, it's your boy Xmanny87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is my top 10 favorite MCU Bafs of the decade. Before I get into everything, if you could please drop a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate that. Now with that said, first off I'd like to say thank you for reaching 500 likes on my video for the best comic Bafs of the decade. As I said in that video, if it reached 500 likes, I'd do an MCU one, and I'm a man of my word, so here it is. So only 15 MCU Bafs ever made. Doesn't feel like a lot, but it is a lot, being since the first MCU Baf came out 6 years ago in 2014. Just giving you the heads up, all the Bafs that have ever been re-released for an update will be showcased in my video, as I no longer have the original Bafs. So I might get shit for that, but we know it originated from a Baf, so I don't care if I get shit for it, as it's my list and I don't keep outdated figures most of the time. Out of 15 Bafs, 5 of them got the updated treatment. That's crazy, knowing how much I spent on waves to complete a Baf, and they'll come out with that same figure for $30 or less in a single card with much better paint, fixing on some sculpts or added accessories. Sometimes in a 3-pack like Thanos for $70. Still less than a whole wave. One thing for sure that we've learned is that with MCU Bafs or single carded figure releases in general, we will always get an update down the line. With that out of the way, as I said before, only 15 MCU Bafs were made, so being that this is a top 10 list, that means 5 will be left out. These are the 5 that did not make my top 10 list. So Armored Thanos and M'Baku didn't make the list because of how lackluster the articulation is. No doubt they look good, but you don't get movement on M'Baku's legs at all because of that molded skirt. Armored Thanos suffered from not having any waist or torso swivel or ankle pivot, so trying to recreate those in-game fight scenes with his stylized fighting, the poses were not possible. Only good for vanilla shots. Bro Thor is completely out of scale with the other Thor figures. They really shrunk him down to a normal sized dude. Proportions on the legs are off too. Posing is also limited here. He can't get into a natural sitting pose with that robe on. Okay, so Molten Man was great to photograph with the see-through torso. The light piping through it made him look like hot fire. Articulation was a little limited, however, it was still decent and better than the ones I just mentioned. I think it would have been more beneficial if they gave us a Monster Sandman, but I understood they already did something like that since that was a Baf for the Spider-Man 3 wave. I know there's a difference, but it was about taking another route. Can't fault them for that. Therefore, my honorable mention goes to the first MCU Baf to get the face print tech treatment, and that is Okoye. This figure hands down has one of the best face printed head sculpts in Legends, period. The likeness of the actress is a spitting image. It's like the actress Danai Gurira, however it's pronounced, went on some plastic, and this is what we got. Plus, when you put her next to the Dora Milaje army builders and or other Wakandans, this becomes one of the best looking figures and displays. Despite myself having some issues with some parts of the figure, this kind of display really puts this figure over. Wakanda forever. And now let's dive into my top 10 favorite MCU Bafs of the decade. Coming in at number 10, we have Ultron. This figure just looks aesthetically pleasing. Very pleasing. A great height to this figure, and though this is not the original Baf, it's the re-release which has the better paint. It's still aesthetically pleasing. I took a photo of that Ultron with the other Ultron drones from the 3-pack with Vision and Hulk, and it makes this figure look so much more menacing. Makes me want Hasbro to come out with some MCU Ultron drones and Iron Legion figures. That would be dope. I love the Ultron-like poses you can get with him, as the articulation is very nice, and one of the best MCU villain figures at the time because we barely had any. Coming in at number 9, we have Giant Man. Okay, so this guy stole the show for me in the Civil War movie. This is the tallest Baf Hasbro has ever put out since the 16-inch Fin Fang Foom figure. Measuring at 10 inches tall, Giant Man is a great figure. The re-release I have in hand here has the corrected shoes without the tongue. The costume looks great, and the translucent part of his eyes is such a nice touch. I've seen this figure in some of the best pics from other display artists. I'll have to go revisit this figure someday to take pics because there's just something fun about using larger than life kind of perspectives on a giant character behind the lens. While he's not the super giant size scale we wanted him to be, I don't see an MCU Giant Man being a HasLab project anytime soon, but if it ever does happen, that would be epic for the MCU collection. Coming in at number 8, we have the Endgame Hulk. This Hulk figure is fun. It's a different build from other Hulks we've gotten in the past, but the articulation is so good on him, being the first Legends Hulk figure to ever have double jointed elbows. He does have an alternate head with a smile on, but prefer the regular head more. I do wish he came with a screaming alt head, but the best accessory is that he has the nano power gauntlet, and it's an awesome piece. Loved photographing it and hope to see this Hulk mold used again on a Gamerverse Avengers Hulk maybe. Overall, a good looking figure. Coming in at number 7, we have Mantis. This is such a beautiful piece. Debuting in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 wave, that was the first wave to introduce the face print tech on MCU figures. However, this Bafs does not have that, but has a face scan for the mold, so we shouldn't take away how beautiful her face came out to be. I love everything about this figure, from the beautiful metallic green color to the insect-like antennas on her head. Plus, I love the great job the actress does in portraying her. I think her name is Pom Klementieff. I don't know, I'm terrible with names. But I just find her absolutely adorable, and who else finds her adorable? That makes me adore this figure even more so. Hope we get a comic classic version of Mantis one day, with that kind of revealing yellow-green dress and the bare legs, bare feet that makes her look super sexy. If there is one thing this figure does right, is kick names and take ass. Coming in at number 6, we have I Am Groot, the first MCU Bafs that started it all. This figure is magnificently sculpted, scaling perfectly alongside his fellow Guardians. Though the original Bafs featured a different head sculpt and lacked paint details in some areas, this evolution of Groot re-release makes up for that, delivering details and paint all around where it was needed on the first one. Same figure still, but a new smiling head sculpt and coming with 2 of the smallest and cutest Legends accessories in the Baby Groot and Walking Baby Groot. This is definitely the Groot you need for your MCU collection, and I'll have a link in the description below. Coming in at number 5, we have Cole Obsidian. This guy is a monstrosity and makes me realize how special the MCU figures are to the Legends line, as majority of them we get are 100% newly sculpted. Though not the final film version, this figure is based off a concept art, but I didn't care when I got this figure in hand. He's an absolute unit. Putting him alongside Thanos and the Black Order will instill fear to your other Legends in your collection that has to share the same shelf with them. The accessory does look like it came from a 3D printer, but it's still cool looking. As I said before, I love Bafs with accessories. I do hope we get his final look in the film one day, but no matter what, he's a must-have for the MCU collection. Coming in at number 4, we have Thanos, the non-armored version. The best MCU Bafs re-release in my opinion. The first one suffered from a glossy looking skin tone, but also that skin tone was not the correct color either. This re-release from the Infinity War 3-pack with Strange and Iron Man puts the original Bafs to shame. The gold on his color actually has a printed design pattern, and the colors to the outfit is more movie faithful as well. We also get an additional head with a screaming face that looks amazingly terrifying, and open hands for the Infinity Gauntlet. I still have the original Bafs Gauntlet arm so that I can swap the hands for display options. I absolutely loved photographing this Mad Titan and hopefully get to take some more pics of him down the line. The best villain in the MCU deserves the best treatment in action figure form, and we get that here with this re-release. Coming in at number 3, we have Gladiator Hulk. This is the best MCU Hulk figure in Legends. Also one of the best Legends Hulk figures ever. They captured his physique and stature all the way here. The Gladiator armor pieces layered on make him look so badass and is beautifully sculpted as well. He has some dings on it. The shoes on the Gladiator boots can be removed like some other pieces as well. The accessories feel very high on quality, but unfortunately, they warp over time when leaving them hanging from his hand. That came as a surprise to me because it didn't feel like they could warp, as it felt incredibly sturdy. The helmet looks super cool on his head. Speaking of that, he should have had an alternate screaming head. The face they gave him here does not have the face print tech. Just like Mantis, he has the head scan mode. Funny how they decided to skip face prints for these Bafs that came out the same year in 2017. Anyways, the paint job is amazing all throughout and should be a top 3 contender for most collectors' best MCU Bafs. Coming in at number 2 is the Hulkbuster. This is the heaviest and most massive Baf Hasbro has put out in the last 5 years or so. This Hulkbuster is outright incredible. This figure was re-released twice. One where it was like a Best of Avengers wave with Loki in it and had a better paint job than the original wave. Then there's this one here in the 10 Years of MCU 2-pack with the Age of Ultron possessed Hulk, which has better paint than those two prior. You can have this fight with your Hulk all day for some non-stop fun. Best thing I love about this too is that it looks and feels like an actual regular size Iron Man figure can fit inside this if it were possible. It makes it that believable. I remember building the Baf for the first time, and once I finished assembling it I said, holy shit. And I still say the same thing every time I look at this Hulkbuster. Taking the top spot at number 1 is the Vulture, and this might cause some controversy. Again, I might get shit for this because the wings are the buildable piece and not the figure itself, but still, to me, you need the two to complete each other, so therefore, to me, it's still a Baf concept. A great concept here that I can get with. I'd like to see them take this approach again with some vehicles down the line for certain characters. This is mind-blowing total awesomeness right here. A wingspan that measures at 23 inches across with some good articulation to them. You can move some parts up and down or forward and back. The propellers are awesome on how they can rotate and flip around to capture some poses in flight. Wish he came with a proper flight stand though. Instead he comes with a base that you can just rest the bottom middle part of the wings on so he can stand straight. And the new flight stand from the Deluxe Black Widow doesn't work with this either. But these wings are so impressive and I like the paint on them, especially in the middle back part with the faded blue streak where it would blast off. This is the first MCU Baf to feature an accessory as it came out May 2017. Gladiator Hulk was the second MCU Baf to feature an accessory, releasing 2 months or so later after this Homecoming wave, and man oh man, being the first, Hasbro went big with it. I love when they take big risks like this and was successful in doing so. It's another figure like with Hulkbuster when each time I look at it I say holy shit out loud. Hope they get the likeness for Michael Keaton soon because we need an alt head for this guy badly. The helmet sculpt came out amazing with those creepy vulture green eyes, tubes on the side, and the mouth looking like the shape of a vulture's beak. And now to take a look at my number 1 MCU Baf next to my number 1 favorite comic Baf of the decade. Here he is next to the return of the naked sexy Sauron. Hashtag naked sexy Sauron. No doubt this is my favorite MCU Baf and probably my favorite Legends MCU figure to date. This figure here is the pride of my MCU collection display, and that's why he's number 1 on my list. So now I kick it back to you guys. Who's in your top 10 favorite MCU Bafs? Who in the MCU would you like to see made next into a Baf? I think Celestials, Eitri, and Surtur don't have a chance as they would be way too big for Hasbro to package. Realistically, I can see Curse from Thor the Dark World being made, or maybe the Watchers, but you'll have to give me an astronaut Stan Lee. Anyways, comment below, let me know. That was my top 10 list. Please drop a like rating on the video, comment, we'll chat about it. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, link is in the description below. Check out xmanny87.com to view my photo gallery. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next video. Peace, peace.